On podcast studio here in Vancouver. I have Melissa Ng with me. She just finished the speaker panel for day one not too long ago. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
How was the panel?
It was good. It was really fun.
Were you nervous?
I was a little bit nervous, so I think my other panelists made it more of an enjoyable environment to be in.
Yeah, but I can tell that you were kind of like that, but that you had a good reason. You just came from another
Oh,
thing,
yes, I
right?
did.
How was that other thing?
It was good. I was hosting another, like a virtual event essentially. Literally ended at 1 o'clock, and our panelist event was at 1:30. So I was running from 1 to 1:15 here, got mic'd up, and then pretty much just went on. So that was pretty insane, but it's fun.
That's the hustle.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that. The webinar that you were doing, is that more or less kind of what you usually do?
Yeah. So I have a company. It's called Amplify, and we basically run virtual live events to nurture the audience and help them to be converted into clients later on. And I was doing just that. I was presenting at a webinar that we were hosting for this week. It's 5 days. Today's day 4, so I have one more session tomorrow.
So what is the secret with webinars nowadays? I felt like it was so much of a thing a couple of years ago, and then it felt like it died off. Like as in everybody was teaching it back then, and then people stopped teaching it as a thing, and so I figured that webinars is just dead. People came back to in-person events.
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
So because of COVID, virtual events have rose so drastically. There has been a little bit of, what is that word? Like a little bit of tiredness from virtual events that happened a little bit right after all the in-person stuff opened up, but it's coming back strong now because of the opportunities that a virtual event can do versus like an in-person, right? Like in virtual, you're basically accessing a global audience versus in person, it's only your local market.
Right.
Yeah, but what we do is it's webinar, but it's like a 5-day event essentially. So we focus on challenges specifically, which is more powerful because you're creating more value and you're giving more value to the audience too.
Right. And are there specific types of businesses or industries or niches that webinars are working especially well for? Or are you saying that it's pretty agnostic?
I would say the ones that work really well are for more service-based companies, so like coaches, consulting companies, service providers, because that gives you as a brand and company an opportunity to showcase who the founder is and share the value that you are able to provide to your audience. They get to really know you over 5 days, call it challenge, and they get, their problem solved. And so at the end of it, you're basically offering them like, hey, this is what I offer as my service. If you want to continue the journey with me, if you want to dive deeper, here's the opportunity to do so.
What's a typical client engagement with you like from the time that they sign on with you to when the webinar, say the 5-day challenge is over?
Yeah.
How involved are you along the process?
So we are an agency, plus we also do consulting. So on the agency side of things, we do everything from building everything up from the back end. So we do the email marketing, the SMS marketing, helping fill the actual challenge in the event, and then helping to co-host the event with the company, and then do any like after sales stuff. So like follow-up emails, SMS marketing, all of that, creating the content design for the event as well to make sure it's actually fully engaging and people are there and people show up. I think that's huge because a lot of like online events, one of the biggest problems or challenges is that there is not enough people showing up,
right?
Or like it's not engaging, so people don't even stay for more than one day. But our focus is really on maximizing that engagement and then return on investment.
And so what would you say to a client that you're working with or thinking about working with you who's saying, hey, I'm not so comfortable speaking on a webinar?
So we do high impact sales, high impact speaking coaching as well as part of it. So we would, run them through whatever content they want to run us through. We give them feedback, so make sure that their presentation and how they present themselves on camera is going to be good.
Okay. And then after the webinar is completed, obviously it's still up to the client to do the sales, I'm assuming, a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, we help them in terms of like the pitch and how they can invite people into the offer and do that whole thing related to that. So there's also coaching involved in that. But aside from that, yeah, they close them. Generally, closing rates are really high though when someone spends 5 days with you.
Right. So basically, they don't really have to worry about whether they're, comfortable with presenting or super comfortable with the sales. You're taking care of them regardless if they're good or not.
Yeah, through the whole process.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing, so this is my third company that I have, and I officially launched this, I guess, a few months ago, back in the beginning of the year. So this is new.
Okay, so you opened up a can of worms for me.
Oh no.
What? Go back one company. Tell me about that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I also have an e-commerce coaching business where we help e-commerce entrepreneurs start and scale an e-commerce store. Essentially, that business did really well. So we actually scaled that business up through virtual events to $1 million in 24 months, and that's the same system that I use for my current agency to help other coaches, consultants, course creators, or anyone with an audience selling an offer to scale up and get clients.
Nice. And I'm assuming that's the Two Comma Club.
That is the Two Comma Club one.
What was your experience like? So I'm due for it this year.
Oh,
I should be.
Nice.
I just gotta apply when it comes out. What was that experience like? It was in Boise.
It was in Orlando. Yeah,
okay.
The conference was in Orlando. It's called Funnel Hacking Live. It's a 3-day conference with 3-day conference with Russell Brunson. It was really good. It's really fun. I don't want to like ruin the experience for you, but like you get this like Hall of Fame where your name is on the ground as an award winner, which is super cool.
Okay.
And yeah, like you meet all the other award winners who are doing the same thing. So it's really nice to be able to be in that caliber of people. I feel. Yeah. Exactly. And it's fun.
Nice. And then before that business, I'm assuming it was you actually doing e-commerce.
Yes. Yeah. So all these businesses kind of came like as a, what is that word? It just like happened to come by, and then we're like, okay, it didn't make sense to go into this other one because people are asking us like, hey, saw that you're doing e-commerce. How do I get into that too? So that's how the coaching business came up. And then now the coaching business kind of scaled up really well, and people are like, hey, like I saw you got a Two Comma Club. Like, how do I scale my coaching business? So all of that came from like demand that came into us, and we're like, hey, why don't we just solve this problem with a new business, new project?
I love businesses that kind of come about that way. Like I always find that people who've been in the thing and then come to teach and build a business around that is much more effective than like I'm just gonna go and learn the thing and then start doing it. No offense, but
I mean, and you're the customer, right? Yeah. Like you know exactly what the pain points are. So then I feel like your offer or the product that you build is gonna be so much better because you're literally that customer.
Yeah. So aside from webinars, where do you kind of see marketing going in the next 12 months?
Next 12 months? Yeah. Aside from webinars, I mean, I think there is just so much content out there nowadays. So one of the biggest things is just being authentic. Like people, consumers, general market in general, like they want authenticity and be able to see behind the scenes of like brands, of companies in general. So the more you're able to show that, it's where people connect and resonate with the brand and company so much more.
Mm-hmm. And so are there certain areas in marketing where you think used to be really cool and is making a comeback?
Webinars.
I think webinars were always around. They're always kind of there. Like same with podcasts. It's kind of always been there.
No, that's true. Actually, I think podcast is starting to really get like even like podcast has always been around, but like more and more people are listening to podcasts. Like the general market. So there's a trend.
It's easier to consume. You don't have to watch the thing to get the context. You just hear it.
Yeah. Rather than like reading a long email or reading like a long form post, I feel like it's gearing towards the audio side of things and the video side of things for sure.
Right. Tell me about emails and email copy.
Copy?
Like I had this whole thing back in the day where I was studying, direct email copywriters and long form versus short form versus giant paragraphs versus every sentence being broken up in its own sentence. Every sentence being broken up in its own paragraph.
Yeah.
What's your take on effective email?
I find that nowadays people don't have as much attention span.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with the short form content. So shorter emails are doing a lot better than long emails. So yes, still tell a story and yes, still, showcase your message, but try to do that in a more concise way. I find that works really well.
Yeah. And then is it always pitching and what's kind of the cadence?
No. I would say storytelling is huge. So anytime you're able to share a story, because it all comes down to like connecting with the audience and your community, the more you're able to share and not be like salesy all the time, I think that's going to be huge to having someone stay with you and even want to receive your emails in the first place. It's like, what value can you provide? So it's more of a value-based approach rather than just sell.
Awesome. Last question for you. What are you looking forward to in general?
That's a good question. I don't know. I moved back to Vancouver like 6 months ago from Toronto after living there for 4 years. I think what I'm looking forward to is just reconnecting more with like the Vancouver community and the entrepreneurs here. I see that the scene is growing bigger here, which is nice.
You don't have to be.
Compared to
You
4
don't
years
have to
ago.
be nice.
Compared to 4 years ago when I left essentially.
fair.
So it's bigger. There's like more events going on, which is really nice. So I'm looking forward to just connecting more and then being able to expand into the US is what I'm looking to do for my business.
Nice. Right on. Perfect. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank